Hello, and welcome to Adventures in Dolls, the United Federation of Doll Clubs YouTube channel. Today our program is on Bild Lilli, and it's brought to us by Carol Cameron, one of our UFDC officers. Enjoying our programs, we'd like to ask that you be sure and hit that like button. And subscribe, and leave us a comment in the comments section below. Tell us what you think so you don't miss your next adventure in dolls. Now, let's enjoy the program.
Okay. Everybody see that okay? Thumbs up? Okay. So good afternoon, good evening, everybody. It's an absolute delight to be here to talk about one of my favorite sort of dolls, Bild Lilli. And for me, there's something very special about dolls that take the doll world off in a different direction, the sort of doll pioneers. And I think here of Zanna Walker or Calix Hure or Marion Cowlitz with the unique art dolls. And the motivation for creating these dolls varies, and certainly the outcome in terms of financial success is very different. But there's just something about these dolls that attracts me. And Bild Lilli is one such doll, and this is her story. So in the 1950s, a doll appeared that was to set the scene for a new craze, the modern fashion doll. The motivation for creating it was not to provide children with a new type of doll. It was in fact to help successfully launch a new newspaper. But it was to be the inspiration for one of the most recognizable and best-selling toys of all time, namely Barbie. And the name of the doll was Bild Lilli. As the slide here says, it all started with a cartoon. She was actually born on June the 24th, 1952, and the Bild newspaper had to fill a gap in its first issue. And with only 40 minutes left, Reinhard Bothian, who was the cartoonist, was asked to create a character face for a comic strip. Now, his first attempt was a figure with a baby face, but the editor didn't like it, and the editor turned it down. So Bothian had to change his drawing, and what emerged was a young, sort of pretty, curvaceous blonde. And here she is. Here's actually a photo of Bothian with his most famous creation, namely Lilli, on the right-hand side here. And he gave her a sort of naive, seductive, sort of sexy personality, yet she was young looking and innocent. And they decided to name her Lilli. And she was an absolute instant success. By the way, the dog on the picture on the left is called Arco, and apparently he appeared in a number of the Lilli cartoons as well. But here we are. Here is Lilli in cartoon form. Now, Lilli, Bild Lilli's story is the story of Germany in the 1950s, and she was born just as the Western sector of a divided Germany was starting to tackle the economic devastation caused by World War II. Everybody wanted to look like Brigitte Bardot, with a sort of close-fitting pullovers, skirts and pants, and the blonde hair tied back in a sort of girlish ponytail. Now, Bothian, who was living in Hamburg at the time, was clearly inspired by the young women of the era, and Lilli's perfect body with her high heels, her makeup, painted fingernails, and her sort of cheeky, sexy, independent expression. He managed to capture the moment perfectly. And she became a symbol of the new femininity, much more than a doll. She became a kind of trendsetter. Now, pictured here on the left is the front of a book that's been put together of some of the cartoons, and it actually is in black and white, but the version I took this from, someone had gone through and watercolored the cartoons to give them a bit of color. But these were the cartoons that appeared in the Bild Lilli newspaper. Now, it was this instant success that gave Heinz Frank, who was the owner of a manufacturing agency in Hamburg, the idea of producing a Bild Lilli doll. Now, with the agreement of the newspaper, Frank obtained exclusive production rights for the doll and any accessories. And he then set up a contract with, as you can see here, O&M Hauser GmbH in Neustadt, Coburg, to manufacture the doll. Now, I've been to Neustadt and Coburg on a number of occasions for the POPLIN festival. It takes place every year in Germany. And I mean, it's basically been a toy production place for centuries. A lot of the Grodner tiles were produced there, etc. So it's very interesting that it was this area that he also produced Lilli. Now, Rolf Hauser, who was the owner, asked his chief designer, Max Weisbrot, who's pictured here, to create a Lilli doll based on the cartoon drawings. And Hauser met with Berlin in 1955 to look at the prototype. They both agreed that Weisbrot had created an absolute masterpiece, and they immediately started production with the Greiner and Hauser company making the dolls, and the 3M company assembling them and doing the hair and dressing them. And it was on August the 12th, 1955, that the Lilli doll was officially launched on the front cover of that edition of the Bild Lilli newspaper. Is everybody muted? That would be great. I'm just hearing some background noise. Thanks. Okay, I'll carry on. So now, at first, the dolls were not intended for children, but were seen as a promotional gimmick for the Bild newspaper. And as you can be seen from these ads, they were primarily aimed at adult males. And because they were sold in tobacconist shops and paper shops and at airports. And you can see here on the left-hand side, a gentleman holding a Lilli doll and some flowers. And the story goes that men would buy Bild Lilli dolls and give them to their girlfriend, kind of hinting that they'd like the girlfriend to look like this and dress like this sort of thing. And on the right-hand side, you can see two pilots in the cockpit of an aircraft. And what's circled here is a Bild Lilli doll. So they were using it as a sort of good luck charm or something, I'm not sure. But as the initial audience was men. But soon, children and women spotted her, and she became what was called a product for all, from child to grandpa. Now, this is a photo of the doll. You can see it in various poses. She actually came in two sizes. This is the 11.5-inch doll, but you'll see later she also came in a 7.5-inch size. And they refer to somewhat unimaginatively still as Big Lilli and Small Lilli. I mean, people still call them that today. So Big Lillis and Small Lillis. The larger doll came first in 1955, and the smaller one followed 1 year later in 1956. Now, as you can see, they've got a 5-piece body, and it was strung with a sort of white coated elastic stringing. And the head of the large Lilli was attached using the same stringing, but the head of the small Lilli was attached by a piece of moldy plastic and cannot be detached from the body without damaging it. And actually, you do see a lot of the small Lillis with the head damaged because somebody's been thinking they can remove the head to do something and they can't. Now, for the Big Lillis, the head and torso were made of polystyrol and were injected into the molds. I mean, in the 1950s, manufacturers were experimenting with a whole lot of different sorts of materials. And in Bild Lilli's case, they used polystyrol. And she'd hollow arms and legs, and they were made of Lubolon. And with the Big Lillis, the pieces were spray painted or dipped in color. As they were all handmade, no two dolls are exactly the same. And this is sort of reminiscent of Huray's, where the artists who were manufacturing the dolls, where they were told, do not make two dolls look alike. So when you look at Huray dolls, you can see the similarities, but you can see the differences as well. By the way, this is a stand. I'll talk a bit more about this stand later, but these are Bild Lilli stands. Now, 3 patents were registered for Lilli, covering the design of her neck joint, the way her hair was held in place, and also her hip design. The hip design was new because it allowed Lilli to sit with her legs together. And you can see here, this is the very special head construction. This screw goes through the top of the scalp into the rest of the head, and it holds the wig in place, and then the wig covers it. Now, she had holes in the bottom of both feet, which allowed the metal wire protruding from the bases of the stands to hold her in place. And you'll see a picture of that later on. So there was a number of special things about this doll which were new. Now, here's a number of big Lillis, and from left to right, you can see this one is quite grey. The earlier skin tones are grey. They were not made like that, but it's just over time, a bit like Barbie's change colour. The initial ones take on a sort of grey sort of tone, as you get later and later, they become much more sort of suntanned. And it's thought the main reason for this is that the various chemical components had to be remixed every time a new batch was produced. So you know, it wasn't an exact science, so the quantities of the various components varied. Now, the large lilies were always spray painted or dipped in colour. This early small lilies were also spray painted, but later on they were made of a pre-coloured sort of pink plastic material. So again, the later small lilies look different. Now, the vast majority of lilies, big lilies, have blonde hair, different shades, but they're basically blonde. But there are rarer examples. You can see one here of a sort of dark auburn. You can find them with black hair and various shades of red hair, but they're rarer. The typical one is blonde. And I've never seen a small lily that's anything other than blonde. So clearly blonde was the most popular. Now, you can also find rarer lilies with swept hairstyles, but the debate is out whether this was done at manufacturing stage or whether it was a sort of enthusiastic collector that decided to sort of redo the hair or whatever. But this is the typical, what you see here is the typical Bild Lilli hairstyle. Now, the painting on the lilies in the face can also vary because each painter had their own ideas and they were encouraged to make each doll different. The eyebrows can vary here in both shape and size. The eyes all have this very dark, black, thick sort of eyeliner, but some of the early dolls have red dots in the side of their eyes. That's another sign of an early doll if they've got red dots. The early dolls also had eyeshadow. This was a bluey grey, but you can also find it in green and different shades of light to dark. Her cheeks always have a sort of orange or red, quite a lot of colour there, and her lips are a very distinctive sort of cherry red in this sort of pouty sort of fashion. Some of the early lilies again have paints in their nostrils, red paint. The thing that they all have are these painted earrings, and this is a very distinctive feature of Bild Lilli's. The Barbie #1, as you'll see later, they opted not to have the painted earrings, but to put holes in and have metal earrings. But the early Bild Lillis, in fact, all the Bild Lillis had this black. There are very, very rare examples where they've been painted white, but the thinking is that's a one-off. They nearly always have this black it's a sort of flowery earrings. And they all have this very distinctive hairstyle, which is this sort of kiss curl here. Kiss curl, is that what you call it? And that, or is it a spit curl maybe. And the hair is pulled back into this ponytail. There's usually some sort of black plastic sort of holder there with a bow, and then this ponytail again with a sort of curl there. So very distinctive hairstyle. Now, a few variations have been found again, where this might be material to match the clothing or a different color, but they're nearly always black. And here again, I've got some close-ups for you. Her fingernails are always painted. They can be red, orange, or kind of light brown. And she does not have separate shoes. Her shoes are always painted in this sort of black color. And here's the holes I was talking about. So you get a piece of wire that emerges from the stand, goes into the holes, and holds the Bild Lilli in place. I personally don't find them very stable. You've got to play around with it for a while. And it's interesting that the #1 Barbie is the only Barbie that's got the hole in the feet. They didn't find it very successful, and they changed it for the #2 Barbies onwards. Now, the lilies were sold with the stands and a plastic tube for protection. So the base, here's the base for the large Bild Lilli, and here you can see this wire that goes up into the holes in her feet. She came with a plastic tube. This one is about 14 inches high. It fits very tightly over the base. And in fact, if you see original tubes, they're nearly always damaged because to try and get them off the base, they're so tightly fitted on, they do tend to get damaged. And this is a picture of the top of the tube. And here's this 3M sign that I mentioned, the 3M company. And this was the sign that was on the sticker that was on the top of the tubes. Now, the bases, when the Bild Lilli was basically all, so made for the German market, but it was exported, as you'll see in a minute. And they exported, for example, this tube if it was the base, if it was exported, did not have this label on it. It just would say Bild Lilli in black. Now I've got a picture here of a little newspaper. Some of the lilies, it's believed about 130,000 lilies were made and about 30,000 newspapers were made. You can actually get these now, they're reproducing them, but it is a Bild Lilli newspaper and it's got articles on Lilli on it. So this is a picture, as I say, of the lily stand. You can buy reproductions of these now. The reproductions tend to be slightly taller, but it's still the same design. This is for the little lilies. It's very flat, slightly conical, but of course you're dealing with a 7.5-inch doll as opposed to an 11.5-inch doll, so you don't need as much by way of support. It's got a much smaller metal thing, but again, it goes into the bottom of the foot of the little lily. So this is a close-up of this little Lilli newspaper. As you can see, there's the cartoon Lilli here. There's a picture of Lilli, and it came in 2 different sizes for the 2 different types of Lilli. And when they did get sold with the doll, you can see here folds because they were folded up and attached to the clothes with a silver pin. So if you're very, very lucky, if the lily has not been played with, you'll find a lily in a tube with one of these folded up and pinned to her outfit. Now, as with many dolls, Bild Lilli, when it was successful, accessories started to appear, and there's quite a variety of them. Some came with the doll, other could be bought separately, and different manufacturers got involved. This is known as the Lilli swing, and it's for small lilies, and it could either be used to display the doll or put it in the mirror of your car. So men, again, could buy this and have it hanging from their car mirror. And it was made by basically wrapping a long piece of white string around this sort of large copper pin, and then attaching the ends to the base of the swing. And you'll notice here there's little sort of pieces of thread. You could actually, to help the balance, it was good to put this, the hands of the small lily through this so that it would hold her on the swing. So this was the Bild Lilli swing. Now, as well as dolls' houses, Germany has also been a big manufacturer of dolls' house rooms and furniture. And this is an example of the furniture that was made for the small lily. You can also find rooms, sometimes it's shops or lounges that were made for small lily with the sort of lily type of furniture. So it's not really surprising that this was also another feature. As I say, other companies got involved. This wasn't the Bild Lilli company doing this, so this was other companies. And shops often bought this to put in their display window so they could advertise the fact they were selling Bild Lillis. So you often find pictures of shops with rooms and furniture in there as well as the dolls. Now, this Lilli chair was produced. It was inspired by the butterfly chair designed mainly by Jorge Ferrari Hardoy in 1938. And the frame of the Lilli version is made of a sort of enameled steel, and the covering is a plastic material, and you can get it in various colors and patterns. And also you can see here a little piece of doll's house furniture with a lovely lamp. And here's the Lilli newspaper. So people would pose their lilies in the furniture and create scenes, as we do today with a number of our dolls. So there's nothing new under the sun. And Steiff got involved. Steiff manufactured these miniature poodles. And these are very often displayed with Bild Lillis because they're exactly the right size. They were made from the 1950s through to the 1970s and can be found in these 3 colors, black, grey and white. They've got lovely sort of black, tiny pearl button eyes and lovely nose and this red wool collar, and if you're lucky you can find them with the original Steiff tags on them. So these are lovely things to display with the Bild Lilli dolls. Now, a lot of people jumped on the Bild Lilli bandwagon, and the ANORAK company made a movie called Lilli, a Girl of the Big Town, starring Anne Smyrner as Lilli. And here's a photo of her, a poster advertising the movie. Also, Michael Jarry composed the Lilli Boogie, which was released as a 45 single by Polydor. And the lyrics are written by Bruno Boltz, and the orchestra was conducted by Kurt Engelhagen. But see, all these different companies started to jump on the bandwagon because she was so popular. And again, appealing to the initial male audience, these are examples of a 5-inch plastic car dashboard Bild Lilli. She's got molded hair this time and painted clothing and face. And she stands with her sort of thumb in a hitchhiking mode. And she's attached to a thin metal stick that connects to a suction cup. And if you place her on the dashboard of the vehicle, she jiggles about. So this would have been an ideal Christmas present or birthday present for the man in your life who was into Bild Lilli. And just to complete the picture, there was Lilli jewellery that you can see here. There was Lilli perfume. I think this is one of the bottles of the perfume. There was Lilli porcelain figures made. There was Lilli wall hangings. The list, champagne, you know, Lilli champagne. The list goes on and on. So very, very popular in the second half of the 1950s. All these things were being produced. And then there were the clothes. Bild Lilli clothing was a key part of the doll's overall attraction, because you could buy a doll and then you could buy all the different outfits separately and build up quite a trousseau for her. And you could play with her. She was a play doll, and you could change her clothing as the fashions, as the seasons changed, as the fashions changed. Now, the 3M company who I mentioned earlier, it was run by Martha Marr, who's shown here. They produced the various outfits. And Martha was actually the mother-in-law of Rolf Hauser. So it was all kept in the family, the dolls and the clothing, etc. Now, although Martha is credited with designing the outfits for Lilli, actually it's Richard Berthian was effectively the designer, because the clothes were made according to the cartoons. So every time new cartoon strips came out with new clothing would appear for Bild Lilli. Now, the designs were always very up to date, and the clothes could be bought separately, as I say, to build up a trousseau. And how they did it, they pre-cut the fabric pieces, and they were provided to 3M staff either working at the factory or working at home. The only thing that had to be done in the factory were these special fastenings, which I'll talk about in a minute. They had to be put on the clothing in the factory. They couldn't be done at home. But very high quality, like the early Barbie outfits, very high quality and beautifully made, absolutely beautifully made. Now, in Germany, they were sold in plain clear plastic bags that you can see here. The marking is original, 3M Puppenkleiderchen for Lilli, is hidden there. And you can also see this 3M design. And you can see sometimes they came with these little coat hangers. I haven't seen a Lilli wardrobe, but it kind of implies that there was something that you could hang up these clothings. Other examples have different packaging. Here's 2 examples for Sweden. And again, it's got the 3M label, but it's got made in Germany because it was made for export, and there's a number here. And here's another example, made in Germany, made for export. And this is the tennis outfit. Also, they produced booklets to advertise the various outfits for the latest clothing. And this is Fritz Kohn, and he was clearly an exporter-importer based in Hamburg. And this is an example of a booklet that was clearly made to send to English-speaking countries. And inside, with these marvelous pictures, here's the Lilli swing. And you notice for the first time here, you've got these numbers. Whereas Barbie's outfits tended to have names like Gay Parisienne or whatever, the outfits for Bild Lilli just had stock numbers. So this is 113, shorts, pullover, and belt. I mean, that's the way they were described. They didn't have names as such. And also here is a price list. Now this one is clearly meant for the US because they're priced in dollars. And here you can see these stock numbers. And these are typically they're shown as for the big Lilli and for the small Lilli, because the same outfits were made for big Lilli and small Lilli. So you could order to match if you wanted. And again, this is Fritz Kohn, based in Hamburg. And this is a price list for 1958. And it's when you see things like this, you wish you could go back in time machines and sort of with a few dollars and get your Bild Lilli trousseau. So also for advertising, they produced small postcards of small lilies in various settings. And a bit like Kathy Cruz did this too. She produced postcards. The Munich Art produced postcards. I don't know whether it's a Germany thing, but it's interesting that 50 years later, Bild Lilli produced postcards for their dolls. Now, I've mentioned these snaps. One of the key ways, the clothes actually don't have any labels on them with Bild Lilli, but the way you can identify a Bild Lilli outfit is primarily the snaps that are used to on the clothing. So what you find particularly on the top snap on the outside, it's a sort of raised conical snap, and it's always coloured, it's painted. So if it's a yellow outfit, it's typically a yellow yellow painted snap. And the other thing is on the inside, you have these letterings, PRYM. Now, someone asked me what it stood for, so I Googled it, and the first thing that came up was promoting respect for young mothers. But I thought, no, it can't be that. So in fact, I went a bit further, and PRYM is just the name of a company. It's actually the oldest family-owned business in Germany that produces buttons, and they're still producing today. So they were the ones that produced these, and this was just them marking their particular products. And you can see here the undersnap is also marked PRYM. So if you've got a piece of clothing, and you'll see this in a minute when you look at, I show you some of the clothing, it's the way of really recognizing, because these clothes have been reproduced. So, but these buttons have not, these snaps have not. So this is the way of recognizing original Bild Lilli clothing. So here's an example. It's on a jumper, and you can see quite clearly there's PRYM. And this is a dress. It's pink, but it's got white and blue, so they've chosen to make the top white of the snap. And here's zip, and the zips, there's not zips on many clothing. This is the skiing outfit, the skiing jacket, and these zips always have ZIPP. Again, this particular outfit has been reproduced, and it doesn't have this ZIPP on the reproduction. It does not have ZIPP on the zip. Now, to illustrate, how important the clothing is, Silke Knack has produced both hardback and softback version of this book, German Fashion Dolls of the 50s and 60s. Now, the vast majority of the book focuses on Bild Lilli, and she's actually got 96 pages dedicated to Lilli's clothing. And she has done a lot of research on these stock numbers, and she's actually got 65 outfits that she's identified stock numbers for, and they run from 1105 to 1183 with some gaps, so she's still missing some. But this is a very, very good reference book if you're interested in finding out more about Bild Lilli, because she's got lots of colour photographs. It's in German and in English, so she does the same text, if you like, but it's in both languages, and it's a very, very good book. So what I'm going to do now is run through a few of the outfits. I've shown the stock number where it's known. There's a huge variety of clothing though, so this is just the tip of the iceberg. And but a lot of these could still be found today either on dolls or separate outfits. So here we have stock 1106. And as you look at this, just think about, as I say, the second half of the 1950s, Brigitte Bardot, etc. This is a poplin jacket with shorts. And this is, in fact, a Lilli Lauke reproduction. So this is not the original, but it's a reproduction. And it's beautifully done, the reproductions. What you'll notice is she has a stock sort of set. Quite a few of the outfits have this black top and black sort of three-quarter pants. And you'll see that in quite a few of the outfits. So again, people were mixing and matching as they bought more clothing. This comes in a variety of colours as well. So this one's red, but it's blue. You can get it in blue, yellow, green, red, light blue, turquoise, all different sorts of colors. Okay, so this one is 1109. It's a poplin dress, and I just love the cut of this dress. It's slightly off the shoulders. It's got this little V-neck, and in the back is this wonderful bow. And it's a beautiful, crisp dress, very, very good quality. And here you see the green snaps. So you know that's a Bild Lilli original when you look at this. Now again, it came in red, green and blue. There's also unusual versions in a sort of chintz fabric. And I've got a small version of this in red for one of my little Bild Lillis. Absolutely gorgeous.
Now, I always think of Star Trek when I look at this outfit, because it reminds me what they used to wear in Star Trek. This is stock 1117, and it's described as pullover with 3/4 blank pants and a white belt, and it is a Bild Lilli original. And again, you can't see, but the back of this has got a snap there. Sorry, I shouldn't have clicked it. A black snap on the trousers, and from memory, it's got snaps down the back too, though don't hold me to that. But you see, it was meant to, exacerbate the figure. It's the Brigitte Bardot figure. It really is the style, the fashion of the 50s. But she did have some fancy stuff. This is stock 1124, and it's described as a ball gown with tulle lace. Now it's a tulle evening gown. The underneath is made of taffeta. It's got lace trim, and it came in again. You can get it in yellow, blue, and pink, and it's often been found with some rhinestone jewellery. I personally don't have any Bild Lilli jewellery, but I've seen pictures with very, lovely jewellery made for different outfits. But this is one of the very few what I call ball gowny type things for Bild Lilli. It's much more what you would see on the streets of Hamburg that was copied and in the cartoons and therefore in the clothing. This is 1125 summer dress with the blue velvet bow. Very, very common design as far as Bild Lilli is concerned, different colorways in terms of material, but these summer dresses were very, very popular. And this is a Bild Lilli original. This again is a very popular outfit, 1129 anorak with 3/4 pants and pullover. This has been made the anorak was made in red, light green, blue, peach, and also magenta color, and variations you can see on the black trimming here. Sometimes it's a single, sometimes it's double, and this one's been made with a red zip. And again, these will have the ZIPP markings on them. They've all got this sort of fur color. These are both Bild Lilli originals. And this is the matching outfit that was made for the little Lilli. So again, this is 1129. It's got the anorak, but now there's no zip. So for the smaller Lilli, they didn't do a zip. So sometimes you see they've adapted the design for the big Lilli to fit the small Lilli, because I guess the idea of putting a zip on here was too complicated given her size. And this is the dancer. So you saw this earlier on with the swing, and this outfit is described as the dancer, the black top with the pleated skirt. And again, you've got the Lilli snap there. Beautiful, beautiful dress. This is another one of the few fancy ones, I would say, cocktail dress with fur stole. You can see how the fur goes down the back. And again, a bit like the green dress you saw earlier, it's not a bow, but you've got an extra piece of material here just to give it that extra pizzazz. This is actually a Lilli Lauka reproduction. It's not an original, but again, they've done it very, very well. And again, color-wise, that you could get this in purple, in pink and in red, and also the small version has been found in sort of dark green. And here you have a very sort of typical 1950s stock number 1139. It's called the home suit. You get this lovely sort of top with sort of shorter sleeves and this lovely belt that goes around to accentuate the waist. And again, with these 3/4 pants. This again is a Bild Lilli original. You can see the tops of the snaps there have been painted blue. And again, you could get this in pink, green, or yellow, purple, blue, etc., etc. This is a photo you saw earlier. The actual bikini is stock number 1142. It's simply titled Bikini. And this is on a small Lilli, but there was a number of swimsuits. If you remember, the original Barbie #1 came in a black and white swimsuit. Well, there's lots of different swimsuits and lots of different bikinis for Bild Lilli as well. Again, black, red, blue, green, yellow, white. You could choose your color. This is stock number 1144, pattern pajamas with a white trim. It's a lovely, lovely pattern. Long sleeves, longer sleeves, and again, the 3/4 pants. These were very popular. It's got elasticated waist, but you've got the black. They chose to make the black snaps this time. And very sexy, stock number 1155, pair of pajamas with lace. Trimmed in the lace in the same color or white, and the top is just fastened now by two ribbons. There's no snaps on it.
And it's got, you can't see underneath, but she's got pants underneath, 2 short pants. You could get this in blue, yellow, pink, white, blue with flowers, pink with stripes, all variations possible. And I think the next one, yes, this is the equivalent for the small Bild Lilli. So to say you simply, took the design for the big Lily, made it slightly smaller. And a bit like the big Lily, lots of little dresses were made for the little Lily. This is a cocktail dress. The added bits to it, like they put lace down it or felt trims or whatever, just to make it a bit more special. But this is a Lily original. This is 1158, a velvet suit top and 3/4 pants again with a fur trim. And this has got a zip down the back. And this is actually a Lily Lauker reproduction, but again, they've done a very, very good job on it. You could get this one in dark blue, light blue, as you see here, yellow, green, and red. And it's also been found with a pearl pin on the collar or on the belt. So this, you could get jewelry for this one. Now, as you got the stock numbers went up, so that we're going forward in time, the outfit started to get a bit more regional in style, and you get a lot of what's called dirndls. And the later ones came with sort of skirts and little blouses and then sort of waistcoats. It began to get quite a regional feel about it, but these early dirndls were more like dresses. What makes them a dirndl are these little pockets here with the trimming on them. So they started to adapt the dresses they'd made. And this is a Lily Lauker reproduction. Lily Lauker typically have, they're very good. They typically have this actually says Lauker, Lily Lauker or something like that. They have tapes, they have a way of marking their clothing. So they're not trying to fraud, they're not trying to create fraud with Bild Lilli. They did mark them. And for the winter, this is one of my favorite outfits here on the left. The stock number is unknown, but it's a beautiful winter coat. When you feel it, the quality of the material is absolutely amazing. And she's got this sort of matching, is it pillar hat or box hat? I'm not sure what you show it. And on the right, you've got this sort of ocelot jacket with, again, this black top and 3/4 pants. And these are both Bild Lilli originals. And again, here, you know this is a Bild Lilli because it's got the white snaps with the PRYM on it. And this is another stock number unknown, but a beautiful pleated cocktail dress. The amount of work that's gone into this is absolutely amazing. And this is actually another Lily Lauker reproduction. This is one of the ones they've chosen to do. And again, you can tell this is a reproduction because the snaps at the back are not painted. They've simply left it as a silver colored snap. Beautiful, beautiful. And this is the equivalent. This is a Bild Lilli original for the little Lily. This is also the pleated cocktail dress. But clearly, if you look at the cut down some of the detail when they took it down to the 7.5-inch doll. And here's another stock number unknown. I mentioned a lot of these little dresses were made. This one was made with the felt collar. So that was the addition there. And here you see the yellow studs. You know this is Bild Lilli original. Pattern summer dress. Now you can see this is similar to the green dress we started out with. It's got a sort of off the shoulder. It's a lovely, lovely cut, a lovely dress, and it sits absolutely beautifully on the doll. And this is a Bild Lilli original. And last but not least, this stock number unknown pattern skirt top, pattern skirt with the red top. Again, it's got this sort of plunging neckline, and you know this is a Lily original because of the red studs. And this is quite an unusual material. I've not seen this on any other skirt or dress. Now, this is not a Lily outfit, and it's not a Lily Lauker reproduction because Lily never married or got even close to it. Lily Lauker opted to do a dress for her, a wedding dress, and they've done a beautiful job. I mean, it's a satin wedding dress, beautifully cut. It's got this lovely lace veil, complete with flowers, a flowery sort of pearly headdress here. She comes with a blue garter and the flowers, etc. But I put this at the end because it wasn't they weren't reproducing a Lily outfit because Lily never married and they never did a wedding dress for her. And in fact, the fact she never married is related to this production stopping. I call this the end of an era. Production stopped very suddenly. And the final Lilli cartoon actually appeared on January 5th, 1962. So he started in 52, finished in 62. So he only went for 10 years, but I guess that's a long time to go for in a newspaper. Berthian said he actually quit because the Bild Lilli management wanted him to marry Lilli off. And he said Lilli would never have got married. You know, he wasn't going to do something that he thought was wrong. Now, he actually went on to create other Lilli lookalike cartoons, but none were as successful as Lilli. And although the cartoons stopped in 62, the doll production kept on going until 1964. And what happened then was Ruth Handler, who was the co-owner and founder of Mattel, she came over to Europe on a trip and she was looking for inspiration for new types of dolls. She spotted Lilli dolls in Switzerland, in Lucerne. I'm doing that from memory. And she bought some and she took them back to the States. And she showed them to her development department and she said, I want you to do a doll based on this. So they altered her body a bit and removed the elastic stringing, did something different there. And this adapted Big Lilli became the first #1 Barbie. Now, they clearly were worried about copyright. And in 64, Mattel bought the worldwide patent for Lilli. If you remember, there was 3 patents. They bought the worldwide patent for Lilli dolls and the stands, and the production ceased. Now, I've read in various places about court cases thing. I don't have the detail of that, but they did pay for the copyright, but whatever they paid for it wasn't enough. When you think about the success of Barbie, it's still going, here we are in 2022, and the millions of Barbies that have been sold, whatever they paid to get the copyright just wasn't enough. Now, as I say, in the 10 years of production, about 130,000 Lilli dolls were made. So, you know, compared, as I say, to the millions that Barbie's made. Anyway, let me just show you some pictures for comparison. On the left is a close-up of a #1 Barbie, and on the right is a Bild Lilli. And you can see why Mattel were so worried about the patent. Now, oh, sorry. What they did was, instead of this sort of spit curl, they took that away and it had a sort of fuller fringe. The rest of the hair, though, was the same. The eyebrows changed in shape. This is more of a sort of boomerang shape, whereas Lilli had more of a curve. But they kept the heavy liner, and you know, these eyes look very familiar. They've got this blue line of eyeliner as opposed to the eyeshadow, and the lips are different. And they didn't have the black earrings. They had the hole with the metal, which I gather causes problems. They go green, I'm told, by Barbie collectors. It's difficult. But you look at the 2 dolls and you kind of say, you can kind of see where #1 Barbie came from, you know. And then you look at the bodies, very similar bodies. You know, you've got the 5-piece body. Now, they kept the holes in the #1 Barbie, but they removed the black shoes, the painted shoes, and they gave her these shoes with the holes in the bottom. But Mattel was worried about the patent. As I say, you know, the bodies are very, very similar. And one of the big differences are, instead of the painted shoes with the hole, you've still got the hole at the bottom of the feet, but now you've got shoes, and the shoes actually have holes in the bottom of it too. So the #1 Barbie still had this idea of the wire going up into the leg. But as I say, they didn't find it very successful with the #1 Barbie, and from the #2 Barbie onwards, they gave up on that. But you know, Bild Lilli's legacy is not just Barbie, and in Germany, a number of fashion dolls came onto the market in the 1960s, and Silke Knack's book actually talks about these. The top left here is Schwabenchen, which I'd not heard of before I got Silke's book. And the top right is Petra. And some of the Petra fashions actually fit Bild Lilli. I've managed to find some Petra fashions that are very, very nice. And they can be a bit more fancy, like more ball gowns and things like this, and they fit Bild Lilli. And then, of course, in the UK, we had Cindy. I don't know whether you've ever heard of Cindy, the Cindy doll, but this was quite a UK thing. I'm not sure how many were actually exported. In fact, I met someone recently who'd worked at Cindy. I need to doing the clothes, so I need to talk to her a bit more about it, learn a bit more. And of course, since then we've had all sorts of other. This is a Robert Turner doll, and then of course you've got the Melodum. So this modern fashion doll really, it's still with us today. There's lots and lots of different artists. And then of course there are the copies or the clones, as they're called. We find clones from Italy, from Spain, and this particular one in the middle is very popular from Hong Kong. So Hong Kong Bild Lilli, I mean, that's what she's called. You'll see her advertised on eBay, whatever. But I think actually the best ones are the Lilli Laukas. And here you can see two examples here, the Lilli Laukas. This one particularly is excellent. In fact, this is the Dirndl outfit I was talking about that came later with the blouse and the sort of waistcoat, the more sort of regional costume type. So, and Lilli Lauka was actually produced in, I believe, 2009, 2010 by a gentleman called Julian Kalinowski and Liz Lee. And I've been in contact with Julian over this last couple of years, got to know him. And he's going to do an afternoon tea for us in Bellevue at our next convention, because he started doing the Lilli Laukas again, and he's going to do a doll for us for the convention, which is great. So I think that's the best sort of, what is it? Imitation is the best form of flattery, the highest form of flattery. I think Bild Lilli would be very flattered at the number of people who have actually copied her. So this is the story of Bild Lilli with 2 L's, not 1, thank you. And I mentioned Silke Knack's book, and if you're interested in finding out more about Lilli, I highly recommend it. And as I say, it's in German and in English, and it's German fashion dolls of the 50s and 60s. So, you know, I hope you've enjoyed the program. And
welcome back. We hope you enjoyed Bild Lilli. We'd like to send a special thank you to Carol Cameron. We sincerely appreciate her support. And now, if you're not a member of UFDC already, you need to go to the website ufdc.org and enjoy perusing, find the membership area, sign up, and when you do, be sure to tell them Karen sent you. Thanks so much for watching today. We'll see you next time.